Hi everyone, it's Genevieve from Kangarootime. Thank you so much for watching the recording of our webinar right now. At Kangarootime, we create software for childcare centers. We're an all-in-one solution that helps centers grow their business, connect with their families, and effectively manage their staff members. Our software will help you automate your entire business, including payments, billing, check-in and check-out for children, keeping track of staff hours. We also do classroom automation, and this gives your teacher prompts while they're in the classroom to update parents on feedings, diaper changes, and developmental milestones. And it really hardwires the parents into the early education experience, and they get a beautiful feed of content right on their smartphones. So if you're looking for billing and a payment solution, a parent app, or staff scheduling, contact Kangarootime today. Thanks so much and enjoy the webinar.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Where are we coming in from today? Dani, where are you out of?
I'm in Philly. My centers are in New York, but today I'm in Philly.
All right. That hasn't been kind of a hot button area of the country at all.
I don't know. I heard the other day that Philly is at 20% confirmed cases. So it's kind of nerve-wracking, but thankfully we've been okay.
All right, well, we'll get started here in a couple moments. But before we do that, I wanted to just introduce myself. My name's Scott Wayman. I'm the founder and CEO at Kangarootime. We thank you all so much for being here for our webinar today with Dani Christine. She's a childcare center owner and owner of childcaresites.com. So a little bit about Kangarootime. We know that we have a lot of people who are new to our webinars. So I usually like to acquaint each of you with what we do. We're a software company. We have a platform that acts as a childcare management system. So all your billing, all your administrative work, all the back-end office stuff. We have a classroom automation platform, a parent engagement platform, a beautiful app for parents, and more. And in fact, please check out our website. It's kangarootime.com. And while you're there, go to this page, go to our blog, which is being, content is being added just about every day by Genevieve and Marissa and our team. There's an embarrassment of wealth here for you to subscribe to. So go here, subscribe, and we won't be terribly invasive, but we'll let you know when there's new content. Also, another area for content, go to our YouTube page. So Dani, this is your second, I think, your second webinar with us or more?
No, this is the second one.
The second one. Your first one was amazing, and it's on our YouTube channel along with about 45 other great pieces of content. And again, just an amazing amount of content here. Everything from best practices, your session, best practices with health and safety procedures. When we started this, we brought on an employment attorney, and this was like in March 20th, I think, and none of us knew what was going to go on. And we've been really fortunate to partner with thought leaders like yourself and really lean into content, and we're really proud of it. And we're super fortunate to have folks like you come on as a thought leader and share the wealth. And then one other thing. So guys, go to the KT Childcare Connect group and join our community there. There are over 1,000 childcare owners and directors here, and we use this place to gather, meet, encourage each other, talk about what's going on, and it's a great place for content. We have digital storytellers here that will often post tools, spreadsheets, and people can share content here. So we'd love to see that. But let's get on with the show. We on our website, all here, we have resources to help you if you're looking to improve your childcare center. We have some great resources on our blog. We have posts on marketing your center, increasing enrollment, retention rates, creating a financial plan, printable templates, and more. Again, please go and subscribe and share with your friends, because all of this information is free. And we love doing it for you. So Dani Christine is a childcare business owner, consultant, and creator. She has been in the childcare industry for over a decade and currently owns 2 childcare centers in Long Island. We've had Dani on our platform before, and we're so excited to have her here again. Right before we get started, a couple of housekeeping announcements. Certificates will be sent to you directly if you signed up for the webinar, and if you attended, or if you watched the replay, you will get a certificate. Please don't email us. We will get those to you. Those emails can be kind of overwhelming, and we love for you to get credit for this, for continuing education. If you have questions, please enter it into the QA, click the QA button in Zoom. And those questions will either be answered in the background by myself, Marissa, or Genevieve, or we'll hold them for QA time, which Dani will reserve about 10 minutes for at the end of the content. Microphone and cameras, yours are turned off. We've never had one of the crazy Zoom accidents where people do something embarrassed, because we know you're busy. And then the recording on this content. We will be sending out the recording probably end of the day tomorrow, but again, reference our YouTube page. You will be getting an email. But with that said, Dani Christine, we are so happy to have you here. You will be talking today about the top 4 ways to maximize operations/efficiency at your child care center. And I'm super excited to let you just run and dominate this topic. Dani, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely excited to be back here, and I am someone that appreciates all of the webinars that Kangarootime has been doing. It's been helpful for me in my business, and I know many other providers as well that use it. And I really appreciate all the resources that Kangarootime has to offer outside of being an amazing child care management software company. So I'm having some difficulties with my mouse, but I think you guys can see my presentation here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, and Scott, if you could let me know if there's any issues with sharing my screen, that would be helpful.
Looks
Okay.
good. It looks great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So just before I get started, a little about myself, even though Scott did a great job at that introduction. Sorry. I do own multiple sites in Long Island, New York. Oh, here we go. I'm so excited to now be able to say that I'm a multi-center owner. The last time I was here hosting a Kangarootime webinar, I had 1 center, but about 2 months ago, we got licensed for our 2nd location. Both locations are in Long Island. And just a little bit more about me. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. I started back in 2010 as an assistant teacher in a daycare in my hometown. Then in 2014, I opened a group family daycare in my home in Queens. I was licensed for only a maximum of 16 back then. And a few years later, I started my first center in Long Island. And we grew our enrollment to nearly 100 children in that first location. That was prior to COVID. I am also a content creator, a digital content creator. I'm sorry, I'm having a little, there we go. In addition to owning and operating both of those preschools, I am a digital content creator on YouTube, specifically for people like yourselves, childcare providers, center owners, and family daycare operators. I share insight into my experiences as a childcare business owner on my channel. So if you want to check that out, you can head over to youtube.com/Dani Christine, because I've offered so much info on my YouTube channel over the years. I've gotten a lot of questions from people all over the world asking for advice. So in 2018, I began consulting full time, which is what I do on childcaresites.com. So that's a little about me. And on my website, you can find low-cost courses, video courses, if you're interested in starting up a private, a childcare program, and opportunities for you to book one-on-one video consultations to discuss your business. There's so much more, but I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on that. So you can visit childcaresites.com on your own after this webinar if you'd like. But speaking about efficiency, what responsibilities do you have as an administrator of a childcare business? Aside from children's health and safety being the #1 priority, what are some of those responsibilities that you would have on a daily basis as an administrator? This is a question that I get from a lot of my clients that are interested in starting up a childcare business and don't really know, what they would have to do as a director or an owner or an operator. So I wanted to run through just a few of them, because I'm sure most of us all know that we wear a lot of different hats as a childcare program administrator. The first is compliance with regulations, of course, right? There's some of us have handbooks on handbooks on handbooks of different sorts of definitions and regulations and requirements from the state licensing agency, the Department of Health. There's a lot to be in compliance with. Communication, that's important. Communicating with parents and staff, children, licensing. Communication is the #1 thing we do all day. Billing and accounting, staff supervision, event planning, record keeping and filing, training, professional development for yourself and your staff, leading staff meetings, organizing, assessing classrooms and or children if you do like ECHRs or different, rating systems. You got to organize those types of things. And then, of course, crisis management. If there's anything that goes on in your center that's an emergency, you as the leader of the program are responsible. I wanted to start off by talking about like the definition of efficiency. I tend to do that with any presentation I have, whatever the topic is. I want to make sure it's clear. Efficiency is the ability to avoid wasting materials, energy, efforts, money, and time in doing something or in producing a desired result. In a more general sense, it is the ability to do things well, successfully, and without waste. And there are so many ways, so many resources, so many tools for us to practice efficiency within our childcare centers. So what you're all here to find out is, what does that mean for your programs? And I know the title for this webinar mentioned centers, but if you're watching or participating as a home daycare provider, the things that I'm going to share can certainly apply for you too. I started out operating home daycares years ago before opening my centers, and I wish I had known to use the tools that I use right now. So how can we maximize efficiency within childcare program operations? I'll go through 4 examples of what I do in my programs now. And then after this webinar, if you want to find out more about what I do in my centers by watching some of the free videos that I have published on my YouTube channel, you can certainly do that. I know that I have a video releasing tomorrow afternoon that does explain, that goes into this topic some more. So my first suggestion is Google Drive. Google Drive is a free product of Google. It's part of the G Suite. And if you're not familiar with what the G Suite is, Google has more than just Gmail or Google Calendar. There's so many different products that they offer, and they're all free. There are ways for you to pay. Some features cost extra money to do certain things, but for the most part, for what we as childcare providers would be using it for, it's free. So that's a bonus tip, using the rest of the things included in G Suite. But Google Drive specifically is something that I use every day throughout the whole day. G Suite is free. It's user-friendly. It's accessible from anywhere, accessible on any device. You can allow and disallow sharing, and it can definitely be helpful to keep yourself organized as a childcare business, and the different administrators that help you run your program in your organization can use it as well. Specifically today within the G Suite, I wanted to cover Google Drive. This is a screenshot of what my center's Google Drive looks like. These are different file folders that I have set up inside my Google Drive. It's basically a cloud-based, I guess what you could consider a desktop. Instead of creating files on your computer's desktop, you can create files inside of Google Drive, which you can log in and out of on any device, like I mentioned before. And you can share these folders with anybody that you need to. And you can, let's say if the person you shared it with leaves your organization or resigns or is terminated, you can disallow them from having accessibility to that folder as well. And those functions are free as long as the person has a Gmail account. And it's been very useful for us to have everything that we do stored electronically and cloud-based. As I mentioned in in Scott's intro, I'm in Philadelphia and my centers are in New York. So I'm not there today, but I have access to all of our files because of Google Drive. I wanted to highlight this section over here that says storage. It's 100 gigabytes of storage is what we have access to, because I think I'm paying $1.99 a month for that extra storage space. Without that, I think we only would get, I believe it's like 15 or 30 gigs for free. And I only started paying a couple months ago after using Google Drive for 3 years within my business. So, and we store everything in there. So it's based on, the amount of space that you need, and most of you guys probably won't have that much stuff for the first couple of years where you have to start paying. And even when you do start paying, it's not that expensive. So I love using Google Drive. The possible uses are creating electronic filing systems, like I showed you the screenshot for in my previous slide. You can, any hard copy pieces of mail, bills, receipts, notices that you get, instead of filing them away in a file cabinet, which you should continue to do just in case, but if you ever needed to access them again, the benefit of Google Drive is that you could do that very easily by using the search bar that you see here where it says search drive. You can type in the name of the document you're looking for and it will pop up easily rather than you spending several minutes or sometimes hours if it's something from years ago trying to look it up. So whenever mail comes in, my administrative team immediately scans it and puts it into the appropriate folder within Google Drive. You can also use Google Drive to create documents, spreadsheets, and presentations without needing a software like Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office, I don't believe is free and is relatively expensive in comparison to free, which Google Drive is, or G Suite is. And you can, one of the benefits of this, again, you can access it from anywhere on any device. So if I wanted to use my phone to edit a document that I was typing out or a presentation like this one right now, I am using Google Slides within Google Drive in order to show you guys this presentation. I could edit it from my phone in real time and it saves automatically. And then also record keeping of employee paperwork and child registration forms is a benefit. And speaking of those registration forms, that brings me to my second tip. I do see a question that asks, what kind of documents do you have accessible for parents through Google Drive? I don't use Google Drive for parents to access. This is just for employees within my centers and really just administrators, not even the teachers in the classrooms. I have Google Drive accessible for employees, not for parents, but I'm sure there are some uses if there are things that you want your parents to see or access. All you would need to do is add their email address in order to share it with them. But back to the registration forms, that brings me to my second tip, which is Docusign. Docusign is something I definitely use for the parents. Docusign is a company that allows organizations to manage electronic agreements and offer a way to sign electronically from different devices. This is also cloud-based and not something that must be installed on your computer. You can access your Docusign account from any device with internet access at any time. We began using Docusign about a year ago, a few months before this pandemic began. But since COVID, we've exclusively used it, and it has been a game changer. Childcare providers have so much paperwork that requires signatures, especially during the child registration process. I don't know about you guys, but for us in the past, we often have delays in children being able to start attending our program because of certain information missing from their registration forms. So with Docusign, as the sender of an agreement, you have the ability to create entry fields and require a submission. As you see, that little red box that is, so this little red box that's here, it's what the recipient of your document would see if they tried to skip entering something. This helps us to reduce the amount of information, which helps us to spend less time on reviewing documents and making sure that they're filled in correctly. And that is definitely what I would consider efficiency. We don't have to worry about losing paperwork or forms anymore because we can always go in and download anything that we've sent out. So again, this is another screenshot of what we use or how we use Docusign. A feature that Docusign has is the ability to create templates, and I use that feature all the time. So as you can see on the top of this image, it says Home, Manage, Templates, Report Settings. I usually use the two tabs that say Manage and Templates. Creating a template allows you to upload a document and create entry fields for the spaces in advance, so that anytime you need to send out a form, all you would need to do is get that person's name and email address. So like if it's a parent that you're sending a registration form to in order to fill it out, rather than you trying to collect all of that information, and all you need to do is get the parent's first and last name and their email, and you can send it to them to take care of. So we've uploaded pretty much all of our forms as templates. We've got our child registration forms, our employee paperwork, the reference forms that we send out to potential previous employers, most of the licensing paperwork, transportation agreements, and so much more. The list that goes on. Whenever we send out a document through Docusign, it goes straight to the recipient's email inbox, and they can simply click a button to begin filling out a form and adding their signature. Again, it will not allow them to finish the document and send it back to us unless all required fields are completed. So it holds them accountable for completing the document as well. You can also send the same document to multiple people, like mom and dad, or the parents and an administrator or the director of the program, if more than one person is required to sign on any given document. Once a document is completed by all parties, copies of the signed form are sent to everyone who added their signature, as well as anyone else who you noted should have received a copy. It's honestly amazing. And like I said, this tool has been great and convenient for both myself as a childcare business owner and the parents, who can sign agreements, consent forms, and registration paperwork from their phone or whatever device they choose to use. To add a quick disclaimer though, you should make sure that this is okay with your licensing agency first when it comes to the paperwork that is required by licensing. I know for us, there's a few forms that licensing requires that we have, and it's like usually a header. It's usually on a state letterhead, like the registration form or the medical the child and care medical statement, those kinds of things. If your state requires you to, if your state does not allow you to do this, then you shouldn't do it. But if you're talking about forms that you create on your own, like for example, as a company, we have our own registration forms in addition to the state licensing one that asks more questions and asks for more details. We also have our own company parent handbook that we require signatures for, and other consent forms and stuff. So even if the state wasn't okay with us using Docusign for the state forms, I would still use it for the rest of my paperwork. But you want to run it by your licensor, and if you have an attorney, you should run it by them as well. That's what I did before I began using Docusign. The next tip is a virtual phone system. This is fun. A virtual phone system is a communications tool that handles your business's calls through an internet connection. All of these logos that you see here are different options of virtual phone systems. As you can see, there's a lot to choose from. I'm not sure of the pricing of all of these. Oh, and speaking of pricing, just to go back to Docusign for 1 second, Docusign does cost money. I think they do a free trial for a month, I think. And then you have to sign up for either a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. I think the plan that we're on is $300 for the year, and it's definitely well worth it. But back to this. These logos are different options, and there's a lot to choose from. I'm not sure of the pricing of all of these, but I do know that some options are free, or at least have free features. When I first started out in this business, I used Google Voice, which isn't pictured here, I don't think, but it was free to use, and I believe it still is free for certain features. as of today, I use Grasshopper, which is this little logo. So most of the benefits I refer to will be what I know about the functions and features of Grasshopper. Other options might have different features, so you'll want to make sure that you do your research on that. So why would you need a virtual phone system? Mobility is the first answer. For me specifically, not being on site at my centers, even if I was located in the same state right now, I have two, so I can't be at both. So the fact that I have access to any call that might be a potential lead, of a new parent looking for childcare, and the fact that my phone can ring from wherever I am, is super helpful and comforting. So with a virtual phone system, specifically Grasshopper, it's an app that you can download to your phone, and it's an app that downloads to the computer. And whenever the phone rings, I had to turn it off on the computer because it'll make this loud ringing noise. I signed out of it, but whenever the phone rings, your computer will ring and your phone will ring. So wherever you might be, if you're not at your desk or by the phone, you can set it up. You can alter the settings however you'd like. I have it so that whenever anybody sees our enrollment hotline number, is what we call it our Grasshopper number, on any of our advertisements or pretty much online advertisements at this point. Whenever anybody sees it and calls that number, my phone will ring and our operations manager phone will ring. And whichever one of us picks it up first, the other's phone will stop ringing. There's many different ways you can set it up. So that helps with shared responsibility. She is normally the one that answers most of the calls, but if I know she's not there, or if she's busy, or if she's on the phone already with someone else and it rings again, I can pick it up. So multiple people can answer the phone if you have it set up that way. It also provides you with a business phone number. So when I first started out as a home daycare provider, I was not using Grasshopper, I was using Google Voice. And either way, with both and with most, I think all virtual phone options, you can change your number. I didn't have a landline phone in my house in order to give my house number out. And I certainly didn't want to advertise my cell phone number to the community in case they needed childcare. I wanted to have, a professional business number. And it's, aside from having the different number, as you can see in this picture right here, the image, it's showing an example of the phone ringing, and then it says Grasshopper call. What I like about that is, even if I didn't care about the community having my number, the way that you answer your phone for your friend is different than the way that you should answer the phone if someone's calling you to possibly use your childcare service. So if I don't know if I didn't have a daycare landline number or a landline in my home for my home daycare, I wouldn't know that this random number is a daycare call, a possible client, if it didn't tell me that. So Grasshopper gives you the option for it to show that this is a call, a Grasshopper call, meaning answer the phone professionally. So I love that. You can also it helps you to screen your marketing calls. Like I said, same thing. I would like to know that my phone is ringing for potential business and not a debt collector or a friend or just a random person. So if your phone is showing that it's a Grasshopper call, or however you have the label set up, it's guaranteed that that's someone that saw your ad and it's about your business. You can also set up a professional phone tree system. And a phone tree is like, if you've ever dialed a business and it says, it's an answering system, an answering machine that you set up, and it says, press 1 to speak to so-and-so, or press 2 for the main office, press 3 for whatever. You can set up those settings in Grasshopper. You can record your own voice saying this, or I think you can pay a little extra to have someone else do it. I think they call it a virtual assistant, if I'm not mistaken. But I did it easily using my own voice. It takes some time to set up. I'm not gonna lie, it took me about a day to figure out all the settings and get it all together. And I am paying a monthly fee for it, but it is so worth it. And you can also have professional ringback tone and messages. So instead of them just hearing the phone ringing, you can set up music to play, or you can set up your own voice or somebody's voice telling them a message, highlighting the points of your program, the benefits and what of your center or your home daycare. I really love the ringback tone. I personally, in my programs, we have a what is it called? A theme song, I guess you can call it. We took our children and created a song, a school song. So I recorded that and have it playing on the phone, which is always so sweet, and we've gotten compliments from it. So that our callers don't only hear the phone ringing, they hear messages from myself as well as our school song. Also, voicemail is easily accessible via email or the app. So I have the Grasshopper app on my phone. And if a voicemail comes through, and I forgot to add faxes, you can receive, not send with Grasshopper, but with Grasshopper, you can receive faxes to your Grasshopper number, which is very convenient, and it comes up as a PDF in your email. And you could even see a preview of the PDF on your phone in the app or on the computer app if that's useful for you. So you can easily access voicemails, faxes, and all of that in your email as soon as it comes through if you were unable to answer the phone at that time. And text messaging. Most parents of young children right now are millennials, and texting has really helped us to communicate with those families, those parents who don't want to answer the phone. So we have constant text message threads going on right now between myself and my operations manager for enrollment purposes. Me personally, I make it very clear that this is an enrollment number. This texting is about enrollment, trying to get the child enrolled. And once the enrollment is finished, we then encourage the family, we give them the daycare landline number so that they can call anytime they have issues or questions or concerns moving forward after that. But texting to try to get new kids through the door has been crucial. And then lastly, we have a childcare management software. If you don't have one by now, with all the options available, I'm really not sure how you're managing. Even as a home daycare provider of a small group, having a childcare management software can be very beneficial to your business. I know that Scott usually does a great job at highlighting the different benefits of Kangarootime specifically, and I have talked about it on my channel as well. In my center, we're currently using Kangarootime at one of them, and we love the billing feature. Some of the other functions of a childcare management system, depending on the ones that you choose to use, include classroom ratio monitoring. So if you have a center that has multiple classrooms like I do, ratio is very important, especially to licensing and regulations. Sometimes if you're constantly getting violations or citations for being out of ratio, it could lead to your center having to close down, and we don't want that to happen. So it's very easy to, as an administrator or the director of your program, to monitor how many children are in each room. If you're using a management software, you could do that from your desk. I know that I had recently hired a director a couple months ago who was amazed by the fact that we used a management software to do ratio checks, because at a center she worked at previously, she would have to get up and go visit those rooms multiple times a day to make sure that they were in ratio. With this, you don't have to do that. With the software, I mean, you don't have to do that. Also, with management software, you can communicate easily with parents. Some of them have text message functions, some of them have email functions, some of them have instant like emergency alerts, and then you can some of them might have two-way communication. It's easier to do when it's not an emergency. Of course, if there's an emergency with a child, you can pick up the phone and call a parent. But if you have over 20 kids at one center and you just need to give out some information about your program, rather than picking up the phone or sending out individual text messages, using a management software to blast a message to your families is very convenient. Also, daily reporting, rather than having teachers have a notebook or a binder or a folder for each child, putting in pieces of paper, notes about what they've done for the day, you can use a management software to note things like diaper changes, feedings, bottles, accidents, injuries, activities, the lessons for the day. All of those things can easily be done through a management software. You can also, some of them also have the ability to do meal count tracking. So if you participate in the CACFP, the food program, you know the struggles of having to calculate all of the meals that you've served for an entire month. Some systems allow for that. Also, if having photos and videos of your children easily distributed to parents is a highlight of your program. If you can do that and get parents to see what goes on in your program throughout the day, it might be a selling point. It definitely is a selling point for some families, because usually when I do calls or tours and bring that up, parents love it. And then child progress documentation. Some of these management softwares give you a space to document the progress that children are making throughout the year. If it's about their development or their academics, you can easily track that through a management software. Generating reports, kind of going back to meal count tracking, or if there's reports that you need to see about attendance in order to make certain decisions of staffing or scheduling of your teachers, you can see certain reports with management software. And then again, tuition, billing, and collection. Like I said before, we use Kangarootime right now and love the tuition, billing, and collection that they have. There's an auto pay feature that really gives us ease of mind. Like, we know that many of our families have auto pay turned on, and we don't even have to worry about whether or not we don't have to chase them down or call them about their tuition bill. They can manage that on their own. So those are some of the functions of a management software and why we love them. And with that concludes my presentation. And yeah, I'm open for questions or anything you want to do next, Scott.
Hey, Dani, yeah, we'll take questions, but I wanted to add to that. So first of all, very soon you see this enrollment button here. I know many programs, you had mentioned it.
Sure I understand.
Oh no, yes you do. You know who did not thought I was talking to her. But very soon in Kangarootime, we'll be offering our enrollment module, which will have an enrollment planner, so allow you to see into the future and know what classrooms you have openings in. We will also allow you to use our own document manager, which will eventually next year have the Docusign capabilities. So,
Oh,
so
nice.
you may be able to cancel your subscription to Docusign.
Oh,
Not that we
wow.
don't love Docusign, we think they're great. And then also, what we've found is so this utilization management platform to be able to see into the future. This can be used for you amongst multiple locations, so you can see where you have openings in a view for multiple locations, and then also allow your people that have enrolled to maybe pick casual days if you want to make that available. So if you have summer programming where people can go and choose their days. But again, the module will allow you to collect those enrollment forms, also payments. So when you, something that's coming new to Kangarootime, so easy to accept payments for tuition that's due, but when you sign up a new enrollee, and you need to collect that reg fee, you'll be able to send them a QR code and they can click it and make a payment immediately and save their spots, which is kind of fun. The last thing I wanted to show, and you mentioned this, was our scheduling platform. So what we found was a number of our owners like yourself, they use like When I Work, Sling, Homebase. They use these scheduling platforms which aren't made for childcare. So we built this framework around understanding where you have classes or where you have classes enrolled, and then your staffing. And employees have our staff app. So if they want to request a day off, they do it through the staff app. They also clock in and clock out on the staff app. And then you can approve those days off based on availability or pragmatism. So is it pragmatic to have 10 of your teachers off in one day? And we all know the answer is no. But yeah, just a few more tools coming your way. And Dani, I think we showed you our new classroom platform, which is really beautiful. But yeah, wanted to kind of introduce those. One of the things I was thinking about with document management, what percentage of the time do you feel like you collect registration paperwork right after a tour, after somebody confirms and says, yes, we'd love to come to school? Before you had Docusign, where were you kind of with giving them the paper forms, and what was that process like?
Well, we tried to implement best practice by printing out all those forms and stuff prior to them coming for the tour. Many times, as it gets busy throughout the day, we would forget and be printing it while they were there in case they asked for it. But usually it would be that they come back another day to fill out that paperwork, or we give it to them to take home and they would come back and give it back to us. So it was a lot of back and forth.
Dani, have you had any experience with a CRM?
Yeah, so we currently use a CRM, but not for like we have not sent registration forms through that system.
Got it. Yeah, and that's another option. I know for all of us, we're in the we're in the business of building bodies, souls, and minds, right?
Mhm.
But we're also in the sales business. We're in the marketing business. We're in the management business. A CRM can be a great tool to help you understand the top of your funnel, and deploying all the great tools around phone systems. The cherry on top there can be Chuck Gibbs at Childcare CRM. He always hands out those little tape measures at trade shows. And one day I asked him, I said, Chuck, what's the deal with all these tape measures? And he said, Scott, you can't measure uh, what you don't monitor. So having those tools in the framework around understanding how many calls you're getting in, how many tours you're doing. We also have an integration with Childcare CRM. We love them as a partner. That's a great option for those of you that are trying to build your enrollment. Also, the enrollment tools with Kangarootime can now help you keep the score and keeping those documents. Remember the election a few years back where the comment was, we're not going to talk politics, but the comment was binders of women. I think Romney had said, I'm going to bring binders of women, and everybody got offended. Well, I've seen some binders of women and men at childcare centers. I've seen some binders from hell, and digitizing those capture tools with a CRM at the top of the funnel. Great tip. What else did I have a question on? So with parent communication, you mentioned texting and newsletters. What is the main form of communication you use with parents, and did that change during the pandemic?
Yeah, we introduced, like, we got a subscription with Grasshopper and began texting rather than calling or receiving, rather than communicating just through phone calls. So we don't really send many texts out to about individual instances with like currently enrolled children. We encourage phone calls for those types of things, but as far as like communication to the whole center about like when we're reminders of closings or picture day or different types of events, we definitely use management softwares to send those blasts of text messages. But with the virtual phone system that we have, we do a lot more texting back and forth now with new leads who are interested in our program.
That's great. Yeah, so we implemented texting in Kangarootime. It's a nice tool. Messaging tools are great. What we found over the pandemic was that our customers were coming to us saying, high touch communication is so critical right now. We've got to have the tools and the framework to have intimate communication with our staff and our families, and to know what's going on. Have there been any other big behavioral changes or operational changes for you throughout the pandemic? Is anything kind of sliding? Have you taken anything from operating in a pandemic that will be enduring, that you'll hang on to?
Yes, I love that you asked that, because in the video I talked about earlier on, that is coming out on my YouTube channel tomorrow, that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's a 30-minute video, so if people want to go to my channel and turn the notifications on for that, you can. But one thing specifically is using Zoom. We use Zoom for a lot of virtual staff meetings now, where certain meetings didn't always need to happen in person. And I guess prior to COVID, we didn't realize that. So we didn't realize that this was an option to get on a virtual call rather than trying to figure out everybody's free time after work or something like that. So now, whenever we need to have an emergency meeting, or even if it's scheduled, if it's not going to be a full day type of thing, we can get on Zoom for 2 hours on a Saturday and send messages to our staff that way. And because I operate two centers from a different state, every morning we try to every morning have morning meetings with our administrative team, between both centers. So that happens on Zoom. So Zoom has been very helpful and something we will hold on to even if we don't have to anymore because of COVID restrictions.
Dani, you being a remote owner, and many of the owners that are out there that have built businesses with multiple centers, yeah, that scaling of communication, instruction, meetings, it's definitely a game changer. On the other side of it, though, I've noticed with, so I start my Zoom calls, and hey, opening the kimono here. I haven't taken a shower today. I start at 4:45 in the morning California time.
Okay.
So I look better than I smell, which didn't have to tell anybody that. You guys would have never known. But no, I like to make it a rule that everybody fires up the camera. I don't care if you got bedhead. I just want to see the whites of those gelatinous bulbs in your face. And I want to see you engaged. So yeah, there are some rules of decorum, right? Like, let's be here, let's be present. Right. Super easy to like throw up the Facebook too. No Facebook in my meetings. But just a bit different rules for engagement, and always those little reminders of like, hey, we're here, we're present. This is right. It's so easy to like get 10 minutes into a meeting and you're like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, we try to make our virtual, I've learned that we need to try to make our virtual meetings even more engaging and like participant focused than we would a regular in-person meeting, because it's so easy for whoever is on the virtual meeting to disengage and start doing other things. So we started like adding in quiz questions and like giving out things and, making contests to just keep everybody excited about being on the call.
And there's always, I have a few mechanisms too. Like, I'll show you one. Mid-meeting, I like to just kind of go in and quickly change my background. And if I see expressions like that, I know you're paying attention. Yeah. And then Zoom 5.0, check this out. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff just to mess with people. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Or you can put on a virtual mask. But yeah, no, there are a number of mechanisms to keep people engaged. And so many of you are educators in that classroom decorum and that classroom presence. Just deploy that in these meetings. But Dani, great content as always. We love you, and we are so happy to be connected with you and partnered with you. We will do this again, but let's do one more before the end of the year.
Yeah,
I'd love to do one more session. But thank you so much, and everybody out there. Let's all take those moments every day and lean into our gratitude acknowledgement. So I know that for many of you, you're going through tumultuous times, and we're starting to see a rise in cases. We're starting to see things in our world politically that just don't make sense, for whichever side you're on. But just know that you're all doing the best work there is, which is you're building bodies, minds, and souls. And we are here to support you. And we're so proud of you, and we love you all. That said, Dani, thank you again for being such a great contributor to Kangarootime team. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy.
you.
Let us know if there's anything I can do for you. All right, take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.